For 5 years, Ethan and I were married, the perfect husband in everyone's eyes, even named #1 husband by a gossip magazine. Everyone envied us, but no one knew the role I truly played in this marriage. For these 5 years, she was always so cool and distant, and I slowly wore down the passionate love I once had when I pursued her. I knew that in her heart I was never the one she could never get over, her first love. So I asked for a divorce and left on my own accord. But a week later, she cornered me at the door of my new apartment. "Ethan," she said, her eyes red, "why don't you want me anymore?" This afternoon, just after I got home, her assistant Jessica sent me a message. "Sir, Ms. Davis has a business dinner tonight and will be home around 10:30. I looked at my phone for a moment and replied, "Okay, thank you." 10:30. She would have eaten by then, probably had a few drinks. All I needed to do was draw her a bath and lay out a change of clothes in the bathroom. After doing all that, it was exactly 10:15. I thought for a moment, left a lamp on in the living room, and went to bed. In a daze, I seemed to hear the front door open, the sound of water running in the bathroom. And just as I was about to fall asleep, a fragrant presence appeared beside me. A warm body pressed against my cool back. I groggily turned my head, and her kiss landed precisely on my lips. She must have been a little drunk. "Why are you asleep so early?" she nuzzled against my ear. "Just a bit tired." But she still held on to me tightly. Forget it. She was always like this when she was drunk, and if I didn't let her, she'd just whine and fuss. Maybe this was the only time she'd ever act spoiled with me, the only moment I felt like her husband. I couldn't refuse her. After we were finished, it was late into the night. She fell into a deep sleep in my arms, but I couldn't sleep. I got up, poured myself a glass of red wine, and sat alone in the living room, staring blankly at our wedding photo on the wall. When would be a good time to bring up the divorce? Chloe and I met in college in New York. Back then, she was the campus goddess, shining brightly. Great family background, top of her class, stunningly beautiful. She was the definition of perfection. It was only natural that I developed a crush on a girl like her. I was pretty thick-skinned back then, but unfortunately, after chasing her for 2 semesters and doing a lot of foolish things, I still hadn't won her over. I remember it was a snowy day. I had personally baked her favorite dessert and was waiting for her outside the women's dorm, only to be met with a cold, "Ethan, don't come looking for me anymore. I'm in love with someone else." I used to be stubborn, thinking it was just an excuse to reject me, until one day by chance I saw the man she loved, Liam. I saw her carefully adjusting his collar, playfully tousling his hair, her eyes full of love as she smiled at him. And then she gently stood on her toes and planted a kiss on his lips. That's when I realized that Chloe could love someone like that. It just wasn't me. The news of her and Liam spread quickly across campus. The romance between the goddess and the student on scholarship made Liam the subject of much controversy and gossip. Everyone thought he was a social climber, trying to marry into the Davis fortune, but Chloe always protected him, even using her family's influence to shut down the campus gossip forum for his sake. It's a shame that such a passionate love story didn't have a perfect ending. Chloe never told me why she and Liam broke up, but I heard it was because she wanted him to marry her right after graduation and join her family, working for Davis Corp, but Liam refused. He said he didn't want to be a man who depended on a woman and wanted to make his own way in the world. Many people saw them arguing on campus. They would fight, make up, and fight again, until the day Liam decided to go back to his hometown to be a teacher in a rural school, and they finally broke up. 6 months later, the Davis and Walker families had a joint venture, and Chloe and I crossed paths again because of the project. We became reacquainted. Thinking back now, I guess you could say I took advantage of the opening. I was still the same as I was years ago, treating her exceptionally well. I would share what I learned at Walker Industries with her, remind her to drink less at business dinners, and escort her home safely after every event. 3 months later, on another snowy night, she saw me shivering outside her office building and suddenly walked over. "Ethan, do you really like me this much?" I stared at her blankly and nodded. Yes. I had always liked her very much. She smiled. "Then, do you want to marry me?" When we first got married, I was full of passion for this marriage. In fact, for most of the past 5 years, I was full of passion for this marriage, because I loved her. I was naive enough to believe that she asked me to marry her because she liked me too. So even though she rarely replied to my messages, even though I had to learn her schedule from her assistant at Davis Corp. Even though we had nothing more intimate than our routine marital duties, none of it diminished my enduring love for her. She was an only child and had to inherit the family business, while I had an older brother, so my life was relatively easier. Old Man Davis was strict, and the board of directors at Davis Corp often gave her a hard time because of her young age. I knew she had it tough, so after careful consideration, I gave up a management position at Walker Industries to join a subsidiary of Davis Corp, helping her manage what was then the most chaotic branch. I knew how hard it was for a woman to establish herself in such a large company, so I tried my best not to let her worry about other things. Even when I was sick from exhaustion, I wouldn't tell her and would just go to the hospital alone. Until that day, when I accidentally found a box. Inside was a file showing that for several years, she had been anonymously donating to a small-town elementary school. The principal of that school, to thank this anonymous benefactor, would write a thank you letter by hand each year after receiving the donation and have the relevant agency forward it. Those letters were stacked neatly in the box, without a single extra crease, and the principal of that elementary school was Liam. The next morning, I had the housekeeper making breakfast in the kitchen when Chloe suddenly walked up behind me and wrapped her arms around me. I was startled and turned to look at her. "Are you eating breakfast at home today?" She nodded. "MHM. The housekeeper froze, staring at me blankly. I gave her a troubled look at the ingredients in her hand. I used to always have the housekeeper make breakfast for two, regardless of whether she was eating at home or not, because she always left earlier than I did. I cherished every moment we could eat together, but recently I had stopped asking for 2 servings. It just felt like a waste of food. "Well, you can have this portion then." I put the freshly made omelet on a plate for her. She looked at the plate, slightly stunned. "You eat it while it's hot. I'm not going to the office right away. I'm heading straight to a supplier's, so I'll grab something on the way." I put the milk down too and turned to leave. "Ethan." She suddenly grabbed my arm, hesitating. I turned back, looking at her quizzically. "What's up?" She came closer, wrapping her arms around my waist and looking up. "You seem a bit down lately. Is it because things at the subsidiary are too much?" she asked. "Tired. I really was a bit tired lately. My mind was so preoccupied with the divorce, it was mentally exhausting. I don't have anything on tonight. Jessica told me a new French place opened up near the office. Your favorite. Want to go together?" she said. I was taken aback and confirmed with her. "You have time tonight?" She nodded. "How much time?" She smiled. "Lots. Lots really. Of course. That's great. I'll come find you at the office tonight." I hugged her, a wave of relief washing over me. She had time. That meant tonight, finally, we could have a proper talk about the divorce. However, that evening I still didn't get to see Chloe. She stood me up. At 5 in the afternoon, just as I was leaving the suppliers, I received a message from Jessica. Chloe had a last-minute change of plans and couldn't have dinner with me. This kind of thing had happened countless times in our 5 years of marriage. I was used to it. So I changed my clothes and prepared dinner for one. After eating, I reviewed a few quarterly reports from the subsidiary, then picked up my phone to scroll through some short videos to relax, and then in a trending local video, I saw Chloe. She wasn't alone. Liam was with her. They were sitting across from each other, with the ground floor cafe of the Davis Corp building in the background. The person who posted it was probably an employee. In the video, she gushed, "Check out our company perks. I get to run into our goddess CEO and the famous educator Principal Liam having coffee together after work. Principal Liam is even more handsome in person than on TV. I really want to go ask for an autograph." The video was posted 5 minutes ago. The comment section was filled with praise. "Beautiful boss and a handsome teacher. What a sight. I'm so jealous of the poster. Hey, is your company hiring? I want to be there too." I watched silently for a while, then turned off my phone. So Chloe stood me up because of Liam. For some reason, even though I was her husband, it felt perfectly normal for her to stand me up for Liam. What did 5 years of marriage matter? In her heart, there was probably no comparison between Liam and me. At 9:30, Chloe finally came home. "What did you have for dinner?" she asked, coming over to sit beside me, a rare show of concern for my meal. I didn't answer, just paused for a moment and asked softly, "You had something on tonight. Was it because Liam was here?" She froze, looking a bit surprised, and then a hint of anger. "Who told you that?" I shook my head. "No one. I saw it in a video." After a long pause, she sighed. Ethan, I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd overthink it. Don't worry, there's nothing going on between us. He had made anonymous donations to his school before, and somehow the news got out. He brought a TV crew with him to express their gratitude. His schedule was tight, so I just cooperated with a few interviews. She sat down beside me. We met in the company cafe, and a lot of employees were there. Ethan, she wrapped her arm around mine. We've been married for 5 years. We have that much trust, right? MHM. I should be free tomorrow. We can go to that French place. Chloe. I suddenly interrupted her. I don't actually like French food. I only said that because you like it, and I wanted to have more meals with you. She was stunned. We've been married for 5 years. Do you know what kind of food I like to eat? She didn't speak. Of course, she didn't know. She never wanted to know. The emotions I had been bottling up for hours were about to explode. I suppressed the urge to yell at her, but still asked the cutting. So you remember Liam loves black coffee and croissants, but you don't know what your own husband likes to eat. Ethan, she frowned. If you have a problem with me, we can talk about it, but don't drag Liam into this. Of course. I said one thing, and she couldn't take it. Tonight, I do have something to talk to you about. I took a deep breath and turned to look at her. Chloe, let's get a divorce. The air was silent for about a minute. Ethan, Chloe's eyes widened. Do you know what you're saying? I know. Divorce isn't something you can just say casually. I know. The air fell silent again. After a long moment, Chloe suddenly stood up. Maybe my tone wasn't great just now, but I just met with Liam once and you want to divorce me over it? I paused, feeling like she was missing the point. If I really wanted to cheat, I wouldn't do it this way. You know my style. We've been married for 5 years. You should know how I do things, she continued. Yes. I didn't know her. She was always ambitious. If she wanted to do something, she would do it flawlessly, and if she wanted something to succeed, she would plan meticulously to ensure it did. But did she know me? Did she ever love me? After seeing the video tonight, that old feeling of inferiority I had in college when faced with Liam came rushing back. The fact was right in front of me. Whenever she was with Liam, Chloe would never see me. But for an adult to still be hung up on love or not love, it felt a bit ridiculous. I just feel that after all these years of marriage, we're not really compatible. You could have better options too. Where are we not compatible? She reached for my hand naturally. Ethan, you've done so well these past 5 years. But I don't want to do it anymore. I pulled my hand away. Chloe's hand froze in midair. The divorce agreement is all ready. Ethan, she suddenly cut me off, annoyed. I've already explained the situation with Liam, and I promised you there would be no further involvement with him. What more do you want? Her face was dark. If you insist on harping on tonight's incident, then you're just being unreasonable. You're a grown man. Why are you being so clingy like a woman? Her words choked back what I was about to say. Oh, it seemed like tonight wasn't the night for this conversation. Perhaps realizing her tone was harsh, she softened it after a moment. I've been so tired these past few days, please don't fight with me. With that, she got up and went to take a shower. Watching her leave, I opened my mouth and said softly, Chloe, I had spicy jambalaya for dinner. Her footsteps faltered. Did you know that's my favorite food? No way, what did you say? A divorce? The next day, my brother Alex looked at the divorce papers in my hand, his eyes wide as saucers. Since Chloe and I got married, the cooperation between the Davis and Walker families had strengthened considerably. I figured if I was going to get a divorce, it was better to let my brother know in advance. If you can come back to Walker Industries and help me, that would be great, of course. But why the divorce? I know you two were kind of forced into it at the beginning, but from what I've seen, you've been pretty lovey-dovey since you got married, right? My brother said, swinging his golf club. What did you say? What do you mean, forced into it? Well, my brother rubbed his brow, seemingly regretting his slip of the tongue. 5 years ago, the Davis family needed a huge injection of cash to stay afloat, right? I saw how much you liked her back then, always running over to her place day and night. So when Chloe came to me on behalf of the Davis family, I might have hinted just a tiny little bit. I stared at my brother, dumbfounded. You hinted at what? My brother awkwardly averted his gaze. Well, I told her that if our families were united by marriage, then I would definitely help with the funding. I stood there, frozen, the blood in my veins turning to ice in an instant. Ethan, my brother looked at me with concern. What else? I pinched the bridge of my nose. What else is there that I don't know? My brother hesitated. Alex, I'm about to get a divorce. What else can't be said? It's not a huge deal. It's just, on your wedding day, Chloe's ex-boyfriend showed up. I stared at him, stunned. He said he wanted to see Chloe, but I was afraid he'd cause trouble. So I told him you two were very much in love, and that Chloe probably wouldn't want to see him, and I sent him away. He scratched his head. Some of the Davis family were there too, so I'm not sure if Chloe ever found out about it. So that's how it was. That's how it really was. I thought she wanted to marry me because I had moved her, because she liked me, even just a little. But it turned out this marriage was a sacrifice she made, swallowing her pride for the sake of her company, for the Davis family. That question on that snowy night 5 years ago, that's what it really meant. Ethan, do you really like me this much, enough to force me to marry you this way? So she married me, but she drew a deep chasm between us. She never allowed me to cross it. When we first got married, I always loved sending her messages, wanting to take her out to share every interesting little thing in my life with her. But aside from company matters, she rarely replied. If there was anything, she would just have her assistant contact me. Slowly, I became less talkative. I stopped bothering her, and my main point of contact even became her assistant, Jessica. We had a normal married life, and she would whisper sweet nothings in my ear, calling me Ethan over and over. I always thought this was proof of our love. But I had mentioned wanting kids a few times, and she always said she was too busy right now, that it wasn't the right time. Thinking about it now, she probably never intended to have children with me at all. After all, I was just her husband, nothing more. Last night she asked me. She promised she wouldn't have any further involvement with Liam. So what more did I want? That's right. The two of them had a chance to start over on our wedding day. Because of me, they missed their chance again, perhaps forever. What more did this sinner want? But when I loved her, this was never what I wanted. When she was with Liam, though I envied him, I never thought of being a third wheel, let alone breaking them up. I loved her, and I wanted her to be happy. But she punished me this way, punished me for 5 whole years. I wandered aimlessly down the street, and without realizing it, ended up in front of the Davis Corp building. The divorce agreement I had drafted was in my briefcase. I thought for a moment and sent a message to Jessica, telling her I was at the company to see Chloe. I wanted a divorce. I didn't want to drag this out any longer. Walking into the lobby, I saw Liam. He was smiling and talking to the receptionist. Hearing footsteps, he turned and saw me too. He looked a bit thinner than in the video, a bit tanner than in his college days. He was wearing a simple jacket and jeans, yet he radiated confidence, maturity, and stability. Long time no see. He nodded at me. We went to the cafe on the ground floor together. I can't believe I can still get croissants and black coffee that tastes just like the ones at the campus cafe. It really brings back memories, he said with a smile that was still fresh and handsome. College days were the best, weren't they? He started telling me about his experiences over the past few years. He was truly remarkable. After returning to his hometown to teach, he helped many local children who had dropped out of school. Now the school was on the right track, and he had become a well-known figure. You're truly amazing, I praised him sincerely. He smiled. People only see the glamorous side of things. The truth is, back then, I almost gave up. He picked up his cup and took a sip of coffee. Actually, on your wedding day, I came to find Chloe. I paused, saying nothing. Back then, I took her love for granted and acted recklessly, making the selfish decision to break up and hurting her. But when I actually went back and became a teacher, I realized how big the gap between ideals and reality really is. A lot of things were much harder than I imagined. There were many times I wanted to give up. At my lowest point, I thought about dropping everything and coming back to find her. But then I heard you two were getting married. I'm sorry, I said. He was taken aback. I didn't know you came that day. He lowered his head and said nothing. I'm planning to divorce Chloe. I looked at him. Liam's eyes widened. You're kidding. He suddenly laughed. I often see you in the media these years. Everyone calls you the perfect couple. It's true. Can I ask? He said softly after a moment. Why are you getting a divorce? I shook my head. What other reason could there be? Because I was tired. How I wished I could have someone, just once, whose love I could take for granted, someone I could be reckless with. Just then, a familiar voice called out from the cafe, Ethan. Liam and I both turned around. It was Chloe. She walked over quickly, her expression faltering for a second when she saw Liam. Then she frowned at me. Why did you suddenly come over here? Seeing her expression, I understood immediately. She probably thought I had come here specifically to cause trouble for Liam. Chloe, Liam also stood up. I'm sorry for bothering you again. I have a few educational charity projects, the one I mentioned to you last time. I happen to have some time today, so I wanted to chat with you about them. Okay, I'll have my assistant take you upstairs. With that, Chloe called over Jessica, who was standing by the door, to lead Liam away. I thought she would go up with them, but she remained standing there, looking at me. I was a bit confused. Was she sending Liam away so she could give me a piece of her mind in public? I was still her husband, after all. This favoritism was too obvious, too inappropriate for the setting. Left with no choice, I pinched the bridge of my nose and started to explain. Chloe, it's not what you think. Ethan, are you not feeling well? I froze for a second, not yet processing her words before she stepped forward and took my hand. Why is your face so pale and your hands are so cold? Employees passing by started to look over, their whispers filling the air. Suddenly, I understood her bizarre behavior. Chloe and I rarely appeared together in such private settings. She was probably afraid I would make a scene with Liam in public, so she sent him away first, then put on a show of affection with me in front of the employees to prevent any rumors that might be unfavorable to Liam. I didn't really care. We were getting a divorce anyway, so playing along for her and Liam was no big deal. Besides, if I didn't cause them trouble, the divorce process would go more smoothly. With that in mind, I looked up and smiled. I'm fine. You and Principal Liam still have things to discuss, right? I'll be going now. With that, I pulled my hand away and picked up my bag to leave. But she stopped me. Where are you going? I was speechless. She pulled me closer and suddenly placed her hand on my forehead. Ethan, you have a fever. I'm taking you to the hospital. I was unceremoniously dragged into the car by Chloe, feeling utterly exasperated. Let me drive, I said. Whenever we were together, I always drove to let her rest. You're sick, I'll drive, she insisted. I thought she was just making an excuse to get me out of the company, but she actually drove me to the hospital. It's nothing serious. His temperature is normal, but this hypoglycemia. How long has your husband had it? The doctor asked Chloe. Chloe was taken aback. A few years, I answered myself. The family needs to pay more attention. Always keep some candy on hand for him, the doctor said while writing up the report. This can be minor or major. Besides palpitations and fatigue, it can also lead to a coma in severe cases. Chloe nodded. Okay. It's fine, doctor. I felt this was a bit of an overreaction. I always carry candy and crackers with me. After seeing the doctor, I wanted to leave early, but Chloe kept asking the doctor a lot of questions about what to watch out for, as if she had suddenly developed a keen interest in hypoglycemia. On the way to the parking lot from the hospital, Chloe held my arm tightly. The trip to the hospital had made my head genuinely a bit dizzy. Once in the car, I fumbled in my briefcase for a piece of candy, unwrapped it, and popped it into my mouth. The air in the car was heavy. I simply closed my eyes. I don't know how long we drove before the car finally stopped. Are we here? I asked groggily. Red light. Oh. The air was quiet for a long moment before she asked softly, Why did you never tell me? I looked at her, confused, not understanding what she was asking. You must have felt unwell before. This can't be the first time, she said, pulling the car over to the side of the road. Why didn't you tell me before? I did, I said, still with my eyes closed. What? She was stunned. Right after we got married. There was a week you came home really late every day. On Friday, my blood sugar dropped, and I felt dizzy while driving home from the subsidiary. I quickly pulled over and sent you a message asking if you could bring me some sugar. I chuckled. You never replied. You've probably forgotten by now. I sent you so many messages back then, it's normal to forget. There was another time, you should remember this one. We were being interviewed for a magazine, and the reporter accidentally knocked my briefcase off the sofa. The candy inside fell out. The reporter suspected we had a secret child we hadn't announced. The questions in that interview were very pointed, and you were quite unhappy. After the interview, you specifically told me not to carry so much useless stuff in my bag anymore. Why didn't I tell her? Because you never gave me the chance, and I was so afraid that this little flaw of mine would become another reason for you to dislike me. You don't like candy, so I hid it in the inner pocket of my bag where you wouldn't see it. You wanted to be the head of Davis Corp, so I did everything in my power to make your wish come true. Ethan, she suddenly grabbed my hand. I actually found a great Cajun place. I was hoping to take you there tonight. Her hands seemed to be trembling slightly. But you're not feeling well. Let's have something light tonight, okay? I shook my head. I'll just have some porridge at home. You don't have to stay with me. You should get back to the office. Ethan, I have time tonight, she insisted. I couldn't help but give her a kind reminder. But Liam is still waiting for you at the company. The vice president can handle that. I looked at her, confused. So you really are free tonight? She nodded. I'm free. Then, I thought for a moment, since you're free, let's just go straight home, okay? She nodded, a flicker of joy in her eyes. Okay, let's go home. My mood instantly brightened. Then, when we get home, we can have a good talk about the divorce. For the rest of the drive, Chloe didn't say a word. She was a pretty sharp person. From last night until today, I think. She had already understood that I was serious about the divorce. When we got home, I calmly took out the divorce agreement. I spent a month on this. I should have thought of every point. Our divorce won't have any impact on the Davis or Walker families. I'll step down from my management position at the Davis subsidiary. If there's anything you want to add, you can. We can discuss it. She silently looked at the divorce agreement, saying nothing. I sat across from her. I know you're busy, so I wanted to prepare everything as thoroughly as possible before talking to you. This way, we can do it quickly and not waste each other's time. I don't agree. She suddenly pushed the agreement away and turned her head. I was stunned. What part don't you agree with? I opened the agreement, puzzled. Is it the equity clause? I've already made the biggest concession on this. Any less, and I'm afraid my brother will. She suddenly reached out and pressed her hand on the agreement. Ethan, I don't agree to a divorce, she said, looking at me, enunciating each word. Our eyes met. Her expression seemed very serious. Why? After asking, I had a sudden realization. Oh, you must think I did a decent job managing the subsidiary these past 5 years, so you're worried your next husband won't be able to handle it and will face criticism. You don't have to worry. As long as he's willing to put in the effort, he'll do fine. After thinking for a moment, I went to the bookshelf and took out 5 notebooks. These notebooks contain a lot of important notes about internal matters at Davis Corp and how to handle the media, as well as supplier contacts and information on the subsidiary's personnel and structure. Don't worry, I can hand all of this over to your future new husband. If he needs help in the future, he can always ask me. Ethan, she suddenly raised her voice, her eyes turning redder. I looked at her, confused. What do you think our marriage is? What do you think I am? Just a job for you? I didn't speak, just turned to look out the window. How could it be just a job? It was because I cherished this marriage so much, because I wanted to do everything right for her, that I worked so hard. But what was the point of saying all this now? Ethan, she took my hand from the table. You have to know we're not in a working relationship. We're husband and wife who have shared a bed. But besides sharing a bed, we're not like a real couple at all. She was taken aback. The number of times we eat together in a month can be counted on one hand. The messages I send you don't even amount to a fraction of the ones I exchange with Jessica. I don't know what other married couples are like, but I know I don't want this kind of marriage anymore. I gently pulled my hand away. Chloe, I've thought a lot about this recently. You're not really at fault in this marriage. I was the one who pursued you, the one who wanted to marry you. In these 5 years, you never cheated. It was me who held on to unrealistic fantasies about this marriage. We could probably go on living like this, but I feel that in life, we should be with people we like and who like us back. After all, you'd be happier with someone you like, right? She stared at me blankly. Someone I like? She asked, stunned. Who do you think I like? I shook my head. I don't know, but whoever it was, Liam or someone else, it wouldn't be me. The next morning, I moved out of our house and back into an apartment I had bought before we were married. The night before, we had sat in silence for a few minutes before Chloe got up to take a call and left the house. She didn't come back all night. She took the divorce agreement with her, so I assumed she had agreed to the divorce. After all, she didn't have much to lose. The wedding ring on my left hand was the only gift Chloe had given me in 5 years. Before I left, I took it off and placed it on the nightstand. Just as I finished getting settled, I got a call from my brother. Seriously, why did Chloe suddenly call me this morning asking what kind of candy you like? My brother's voice was exasperated. What's going on? Are you two playing house? Are you getting divorced or not? I was taken aback. We are, Alex. I thought for a moment and asked, Doesn't our family have a small media company that's not doing so well? My brother grunted in. It hasn't turned a profit in years. I was planning to cut our losses and shut it down. Then I held the phone to my ear, looking out at the vast blue sky from the 26th floor. Give it to me, will you? In the early evening, I received a message from Chloe, which was a rare occurrence. There's a cocktail party tonight. Let's go together, okay? I looked at my phone, feeling a bit dazed. This was the kind of message that Jessica used to send me. Let's go separately. I've moved out while the divorce is being processed. There was no reply. That was to be expected. But an hour later, when I went downstairs to get my car, I saw Chloe. I don't know how long she had been waiting there. She looked tired, with bloodshot eyes. I had never seen her look so worn out. What are you? A glimmer of light seemed to flash in her eyes. She walked over quickly and grabbed my hand, then suddenly froze. Your ring. I took it off. Why aren't you wearing it? Her voice was urgent. We're in the middle of a divorce. We don't need it anymore, do we? Ethan, she raised her voice. I haven't agreed to divorce you. I didn't understand. You haven't agreed? You didn't say you disagreed last night. You took the divorce papers, didn't you? She looked at me for a long moment, tears suddenly welling up in her eyes. Not saying I disagree means I agree. Ethan, she hugged me, her voice choked with sobs. I don't want a divorce. Chloe said she didn't want a divorce. I had previously imagined countless obstacles on the road to divorce, like my brother, the handover of the subsidiary's management, the division of assets, but I never expected to fail at the first hurdle. She didn't want to. I was getting desperate. Why not? How could you not want to? Isn't this what's best for both of us? She was stunned and was about to speak when a car horn interrupted. It turned out her car was blocking someone's way. With no other choice, we were forced to get into her car together and head to the party. The moment I sat in the driver's seat, I noticed something was off. The once pristine back seat was piled with shopping bags. I bought candy, she said softly. I put some in the glove compartment too. From now on, don't hide it from me when you're not feeling well. Then she added, I've put some all over the house too. Chloe, I found 2 excellent Cajun and Southern-style chefs. From now on, whatever you want to eat, spicy or sweet, I'll eat it with you. I'll learn to cook too. I'll come home from work earlier and we'll have dinner together. On weekends, we can go to the movies or to an amusement park. If it's the thing with Liam that's bothering you, I can explain that too. The company has been involved in educational charities for years, but I don't decide which schools to support. The office chooses based on a comprehensive review. I had no idea they would pick Liam's school. I only found out recently myself. I know you probably saw those letters. The office has always kept them. I didn't see them any earlier than you did. It's just that my grandfather heard about the thank you letters from somewhere recently, so I had the office compile them to show him this weekend. The croissants and black coffee. She sounded aggrieved. The employee at the company cafe used to work at the campus cafe. She lost her job, so I hired her to work here. Liam used to work at the campus cafe, so she remembers him and his preferences. Maybe my attitude that night was bad and made you misunderstand, but I really feel like he's just someone from the past, someone who has nothing to do with us, an insignificant person. Chloe, Ethan, she interrupted me. Please, just listen to me, okay? I was up all night thinking. I know I haven't been good enough in this marriage, but I can change. If you know you're wrong and you're willing to change, you should get another chance, right? I was in a daze all the way to the party. After some polite small talk with a few acquaintances, I needed some air and went out to the balcony. To my surprise, I ran into a familiar face there. Maya, my childhood friend. Well, if it isn't the universally praised perfect husband, she said with a smirk when she saw me. Long time no see. This girl's mouth was as sharp as ever. How are you? I asked. I knew she was the illegitimate daughter of the Hayes family and didn't have it easy at home. I'm fine, she said, pulling out a cigarette and offering one to me. Want one? I hesitated. No thanks. Quit. If I get photographed, it'll be a hassle. You know, in the media's eyes, I don't smoke. TCH, so boring. She pointed to the large patch of woods outside the balcony. If someone was really hiding in there taking pictures, I'd eat that whole forest for you. You believe me. I chuckled. I was feeling pretty frustrated myself. All right, give me one. That's more like it. You looked so down earlier. I thought you were depressed. I smiled. Are you still not working? She shrugged nonchalantly. Maya, would you consider coming to my little company? I knew she had always been very talented in design. What's this? Aren't you at Davis Corp? Dunn being the man behind the CEO? She raised an eyebrow. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. I took out my phone and sent her the company information. The company is still in its early stages. The pay isn't great, but I'd really like you to come. I know, she yawned. But her gaze suddenly shifted past me to the doorway. I turned around. It was Chloe. My first instinct was to put out the cigarette. Chloe hated the smell of smoke. She walked over, frowning at Maya, then at me. Why are you smoking? It's bad for your health, she said softly. Maya looked at me, then at Chloe. You didn't know he smokes? Maya suddenly spoke up. He's always smoked. Chloe's body went rigid. Honey. Maya walked up and patted Chloe's shoulder with a smile. You've been married for 5 years, right? Don't tell me I know your husband better than you do. Maya left, leaving me with a pale-faced Chloe. Look, I felt a headache coming on. Don't misunderstand. I didn't mean to hide it from you. The subsidiary has been a lot of work these past few years, and you know how your uncles love to stir up trouble in there. It was tough at the beginning. Sometimes when I was frustrated or tired, I'd smoke a little at home by myself. After I explained, her face turned even paler. After a thought, I added, Maya and I checked this area. No one can take pictures here, so you don't have to worry about a PR crisis. You think I'm worried about someone taking a picture of you smoking? Her eyes were red. I was stunned. Wasn't she? She lowered her head. Ethan, I've disappointed you so much, haven't I? I paused, not really knowing how to answer. Disappointed? Of course I was. The higher the hopes, the deeper the disappointment. But after being disappointed so many times, I got used to it. Now that I was determined to get a divorce, what was the point of making useless accusations? I shook my head. No, I'm not. The subsidiary is on the right track now. I don't really smoke much anymore. So you can talk about your stress with Maya, but not with me? I was taken aback. If I had to be honest, are you sure you want to hear it? I asked. She nodded. My only stress right now, I looked up and said seriously, is whether our divorce can proceed smoothly. It would be even better if it could be quicker. Chloe's whole body started to shake. I was speechless. She was the one who insisted I tell her. After a moment, she walked over and hugged me, her voice muffled. Anything but that, she said. Ethan, I can't do the divorce. After that, Chloe seemed to change a lot. Although I insisted on leaving my management position at the Davis subsidiary and took over the Walker family's media company, I would always receive all sorts of gifts from her at my new office and all kinds of home-cooked meals, and of course the occasional appearance of her herself. It was like when I pursued her back in the day, only now everything was reversed. The young people at my company didn't know I was getting a divorce and were always praising what a great wife I had. Only Maya, ever since she joined my company, would give a knowing, amused smile every time she saw something Chloe sent over, shaking her head as she laughed. A month later, the company was preparing a bid, and Maya and I pulled several all-nighters over a small detail. The moment we finally finished, I relaxed my shoulders and looked at Maya, who also looked relieved. She used to be so nonchalant about everything. I had never seen her so serious. I smiled. Maya gave me a puzzled look. I explained with a laugh. I suddenly feel like I've accidentally unearthed a treasure. Maya chuckled. I'm gracing you with my presence, you know. All right. I was helpless against her attitude. I stood up. Let's go, it's so late. Want me to treat you to a late-night snack? Of course, that'd be great. But isn't anyone coming to see you tonight? She paused, looked towards the door, and shrugged. See? What did I tell you? I turned to look. Standing at the door was Chloe. Maya lazily packed her bag and waved at me. I'm heading out. Don't forget you owe me a late-night snack. I nodded. I know. After Maya left, it was just Chloe and me in the office. She walked over silently, a thermal lunchbox in her hand. Have you eaten? She asked softly. I have, I replied. A moment of silence. Chloe, I think. Before I could finish, she suddenly threw herself into my arms, hugging me tightly. Chloe, what's wrong? I instinctively tensed up. She didn't speak, just took a deep breath. The clock on the wall ticked away. I'm jealous. After a long moment, she said softly. Ethan, I'm jealous. I had never imagined that one day Chloe would be hugging me, telling me she was jealous. You asked me before why I wouldn't agree to the divorce. Do you know why? It's because I can't imagine you with someone else. Just now, standing at the door, watching you smile at her, You two were so happy. The jealousy inside me was unbearable. I know there's nothing between you and Maya, but I was still jealous enough to go crazy. Ethan, she buried her head in my chest. I'm really going crazy. I raised my hand and gently held her. Chloe, you also asked me why I wanted a divorce, right? Her body stiffened. I've been someone else's husband for 5 years, my world revolving around my wife. Only to look back and realize I've lost myself. Chloe, I want a divorce because I want to be Ethan again. I want to live for myself. I gently pushed her away. It's been 5 years. Let's part on good terms, okay? She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I paused, then moved to step past her, but she grabbed my hand. Honey, my body froze. Just one more chance. Give me one more chance, okay? Her palm was burning hot. Fine, I said softly. If you can step down as CEO of Davis Corp by the end of the year, we won't get a divorce. She was stunned. What? That's my only condition. She paused. Ethan, that condition is too harsh for me. I shook my head and tried to pull my hand away, but she held on tight. That's the only condition. Nothing else is acceptable. After a long moment, she let go of my hand. I understand, she said. Step down. My brother was shocked for a moment, then burst out laughing and shook his head. Impossible. If Chloe steps down, I'll twist my own head off and let you use it as a bowling ball. I know. The situation with the Davis family was complicated. Old man Davis had 2 sons, Chloe's uncle and her father. Initially, he intended to give the company to his eldest son's family, but Chloe's cousin was a disappointment and got into some trouble 6 years ago, ending up in jail. So Chloe had to take over Davis Corporation. But the other relatives, unconvinced by a woman in charge, caused no end of trouble at the company, each one eyeing the CEO position. Over the past 5 years, I had helped her handle many such situations. He couldn't favor one child over the other, and Chloe hadn't grown up in the main Davis household, so her relationship with her grandfather wasn't particularly close. The old man was getting on in years, and sometimes couldn't tell right from wrong. I knew better than anyone how much effort it took for a young woman like her to secure that position over the past 5 years. So she would never step down. And as it turned out, that was the case. After I said those words, Chloe stopped contacting me. 3 months flew by. I threw myself into my work, and the company's business finally started to improve. Maya and the other employees were very encouraged, and I could see that she had changed a lot during this time too. On December 31st, the company held a small New Year's Eve party. We all went out for dinner and karaoke, and my brother came along. You're really something, little brother. Just like everyone says, you're a business genius. Then he started pushing his luck. Shouldn't you be taking on some of the group's business too? Dad's been working me to the bone. Your big brother is about to die from exhaustion. Everyone at the party was in high spirits. Since I had agreed to help him, my brother was especially excited, singing and dancing with no regard for his usual image. At 11 o'clock, we all came out of the karaoke bar. It had just started to snow, and a few of the more playful ones started a snowball fight on the spot. Across the street, a large screen on a shopping mall was broadcasting a TV program. My brother was chattering away behind me. A snowflake landed on my hair. I brushed it off, and when I looked up, I saw Chloe on the screen. She was poised and elegant, being interviewed by a reporter. Ms. Davis, may I ask if there's a special reason for your sudden resignation as CEO of Davis Corp? Chloe smiled calmly. No special reason. I just want to take a break for a while, to spend time with my husband. I stared blankly at the screen. I turned my head, and my brother was also staring, dumbfounded. Our eyes met, and he raised his right hand and slowly touched his neck. Just then, my phone rang. Hello. Where are you? Downtown, by the clock tower. I'll be there in half an hour. Chloe, Ethan, you have to keep your promise. Her voice was light and relaxed. Wait for me. At 11:45 p.m., I saw Chloe under the clock tower. She walked through the snow, flakes continuously landing on her shoulders and hair, creating a hazy, dreamlike vision. Was this really necessary? We stood facing each other. You've resigned. What if you can never go back? She shook her head, a relaxed smile on her face. If I can't go back, I can't go back. I shook my head. 5 years of hard work. How can you just throw it all away? So reckless. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Her eyes curved into a smile. So you are worried about me, aren't you? She took another step closer. So there's still hope for me, right? Chloe. She handed me a stack of papers. It was the divorce agreement. I was stunned, looking at her in confusion. These past 3 months, while I was handling my resignation, I did a lot of thinking. Ethan, I've resigned, but I don't want to use it to force you to continue this marriage. She paused. I've already signed the divorce papers. If that's the case, then why did you resign? I was even more confused. A business person doesn't make losing deals. I'm confident that even without Davis Corp, I can build a new one. Starting from scratch is more of a challenge anyway, she smiled. And I want to trade my resignation for something else, okay? For something else? I looked at her, puzzled. She stood on her toes and brushed the snow from my hair. For a chance for us to start over. She looked up. I looked down. Our eyes met. Her gaze was filled with a gentle love I had never seen before. For a chance for Chloe to pursue Ethan again. At 11:59 p.m., I signed my name on the agreement. From that moment on, I was no longer the perfect husband people talked about. I was just Ethan myself. The clock tower rang in the new year. Chloe and I looked up together at the falling snow. It's the new year, I said with emotion. Yes, it is. So, her eyes sparkled as she extended her hand to me. Happy New Year, Ethan. I'm Chloe. I looked at her and smiled. Happy New Year, Chloe. I'm Ethan. When I was kidnapped by the possessive woman, Clara was watching fireworks with her first love, her indifferent voice coming through the phone. Leon, are you addicted to playing the victim? I'll pay the money, but you can do whatever you want with him if he wants to act. Play along. The female kidnapper leaned in, eyeing me, and asked, choose me or her to survive. I had to kiss her. Later, when Clara realized I was truly missing, she called in a panic. My kidnapper answered, laughing softly as she nestled against me. Sorry, he's mine now. The sound of fireworks exploding brilliantly in the sky echoed through the cold, damp warehouse. From the phone, now on speaker, Clara's voice was lazy, dripping with sarcasm. Leon, are you addicted to playing the victim? Just a few days ago you were rude to Marcus, even tried to hit him, and I caught you red-handed, yet you tried to blame him. And now you're saying Marcus had you kidnapped? Fine. If you die, let me know. I'll send someone to collect your body. Nothing else, right? I'm watching the fireworks, so I'm hanging up now. Clara, I gripped the bars of the iron cage tightly. I'm not lying to you. The kidnappers told me they were hired by Marcus. Listen to me, don't be with him. He's a manipulative snake. A fist slammed into my face, knocking me backward. A kidnapper pointed at me and cursed. Damn it. I told you to call for 70 million in ransom. What the hell are you babbling about? You want to die? Clap, clap, clap. The sound of applause came from the phone. Clara spoke slowly. Such a good performance. Well, I'll play along. 70 million, right? I'll pay it. The kidnapper's expression softened slightly. Then it's good. In 1 hour, have your people drop the money under the trash can in Union Square. After we confirm, we'll let the kid go. I'll pay the money, but do what you want with the man. If he wants to act, play along with him for a while. Clara's voice was filled with cruel mockery. $70 million to get you to stop bothering me and Marcus for the 7 years you were with me. It's not expensive. It'll even give your actor buddies a bigger paycheck. Miss, are you sure you don't want the man? The lead kidnapper confirmed again. Clara let out a light laugh, her tone leaving no room for doubt. You guys dare to act, I dare to pay. It would be even better if you did something more exciting. I let go of the iron bars, laughing at myself. What was I still hoping for? 7 years of companionship, and I was just a stand-in. Clara, I said with difficulty, if I told you this isn't an act, that I might die here today, would you even care? For these 7 years, I guess I was blind. From now on, I won't bother you again. Leon, shut up. A clear male voice came through the receiver. The man on the other end threatened coldly. It was you who took advantage of the situation, scheming to stay by Clara's side. How can you act so innocent? Ignore him. Look at the fireworks. Ah, the sound of a passionate kiss, a woman's soft moan, a man's heavy breathing, all crystal clear in the enclosed space. They must have been kissing so intensely on the other end. So she was watching the fireworks with Marcus. I pulled a delicate jewelry box from my pocket, a tragic smile on my face. Inside was a ring, the birthday present I had prepared for Clara. Clara never needed me. In countless dreams the name she called out was always Marcus's, and I was the fool who still fantasized that she might have some feelings for me. Clara, Today I finally realized how wrong I was. Don't worry, I won't be delusional or clingy anymore. I wish you and Marcus a long and happy life together, and a happy birthday. Clara, let's end it here. The other end was silent for a moment, then the line went dead. The two kidnappers had clearly never seen a situation like this, and were momentarily speechless. It wasn't until the leader went out to take a call, and came back that he ordered the other to help tie me up and drag me out. Boss, what did the client say? The leader sneered coldly. He said to bleed him dry. The other kidnapper spoke up. Boss, that's not a good idea. We took this job for the ransom. We give the client the big cut. We take the small one. Now we have to kill someone. It's not worth it. You think I don't know that? But that person knows our information. If we don't do what he says, none of us will get away. Kid, you've messed with someone vicious. It's just your bad luck. With that, the lead kidnapper pulled out a knife and walked towards me step by step. We have no quarrel, but someone wants you dead. Don't worry, I'll make it quick. The other kidnapper cautiously added, but boss, taking a kidnapping job already violates the rules. Now we have to kill someone. This is something the myth strictly forbids. If she finds out. The lead kidnapper's expression hardened and he scoffed impatiently. You're afraid of that woman? You don't really think she can clean up the old man's empire, do you? She's just a naive little girl who doesn't know any better. When we were fighting for the old man, she was still nursing at her mother's breast. And even if she does find out, we'll just say we found her a new boyfriend. You've seen how fast she goes through them. Is that so? A woman's voice suddenly rang out. The warehouse doors opened and against the light, the sound of high heels approached, stopping beside me. A woman in a black jumpsuit with long wavy hair was looking at me with interest, followed by a line of bodyguards in black suits. The woman's cold gaze swept over the two boastful kidnappers, and she spoke with a hint of a smile. So this is what you've been up to? Kidnapping a man. Seems my words don't carry much weight, do they? How about you see what this little girl is capable of today? The two kidnappers' faces immediately changed, and they bowed obsequiously to the woman. Miss, you misunderstand. Weren't you just complaining that your last boyfriend wasn't handsome enough? Look, we found you a handsome one. We guarantee you'll be satisfied. The woman's gaze fell on me, filled with a bit of curiosity. He's not bad. A sudden impulse rose within me. Leon, why can't you let go just once? But I know him. He's the companion of that CEO from the Thorn Corporation. I'm not interested in other people's men, the woman said slowly. A flash of surprise went through me. I didn't know her. She looked at me again, her lips curving slightly when she saw my confused expression. She then walked 2 steps closer, bent down, and the tips of her long wavy hair brushed against my face, tickling me. With a flick of her wrists, a knife was already in her hand. She said faintly, "Let's go." After she cut the ropes, the woman was about to leave. On impulse, I grabbed her wrist. What's this, fallen for me? The woman leaned in very close, her pleasant perfume filling the air. Too bad I don't mess with attached men. As she spoke, the knife in her hand was already at my throat. I'm not a good person. You can't afford the price of provoking me. She patted my cheek affectionately, but her eyes were ice cold. I chuckled softly. How do you know I can't afford it before we've even started? For a moment, the woman's expression was stunned. Then she raised an eyebrow with interest. From what I'd observed, this woman didn't support what the two kidnappers were doing, but she hadn't completely turned on them either. Staying here was the most dangerous option for me, plus my own selfish desire. Since Clara didn't want my love, I might as well give it to another woman. All right then, let's give it a try, the woman said, and then she kissed me. My mind went blank, the sensation on my lips unusually sensitive. Her lips were soft, making me kiss her deeper instinctively. No one in the warehouse dared to breathe. The woman's eyes glinted with a bewitching light as her hand suddenly moved down, touching my abs. I gasped, and with a surge of determination, I wrapped my arms around her waist, and she smoothly sat on my lap. When the kiss ended, her lipstick was smudged, but her eyes stared straight at me as she smiled. You really surprised me, Leon, but I'm very satisfied. You have 3 seconds to decide. Choose me or her. Playing with a strand of her hair, I blurted out, you. In the luxurious suite, scattered clothes marked a trail from the door to the bed. After everything had settled, the woman lay in my arms, glancing at the jewelry box that had fallen from my pocket. She giggled. TSK, a limited edition ring. Was it for her? I nodded, then shook my head. She scoffed, suddenly sitting up and looking down at me. Leon, listen up. Now that you've seduced me, you can only be my man, Evelyn's man. A queenly posture. I let out a low laugh and kissed her forehead. Who would have thought that the legendary Evelyn, who's had so many boyfriends, is actually... She shot me a look, a mix of playful annoyance and charm. The night deepened without us noticing. The woman nestled in my arms murmured sleepily. Remember, you have to return the trash to the rotten person to be even. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, okay, from today on, you're mine, Evelyn, my one and only Evelyn. Clara, what are you thinking about so intently? In the resort, Marcus walked up behind Clara and draped a shawl over her shoulders. Marcus hugged Clara from behind, holding her tight. Clara knew what Marcus wanted, but an inexplicable irritation filled her heart, so she took a half step forward without a trace. What's wrong? You seem distracted. Nothing, just a little tired. Seeing Marcus's skeptical look, Clara threw herself into his arms, acting coy, but her gaze involuntarily drifted to the phone on the table. Leon hadn't called again. Leon, you know I'm the type to yield to a soft approach but resist a hard one, yet you always choose to go against me. Just one more call, and I'll believe you. Clara, are you worried about Leon? So you should go check on him, I don't mind. I should thank him for taking care of you these past 7 years. Marcus held Clara's face, his tone gentle, but his eyes held a hint of disappointment. Clara saw it, of course, and was instantly filled with guilt. She buried her face in Marcus's chest. Marcus, what are you thinking? We've already missed 7 years. Now I wish I could be with you every second. Leon, he's just trying to manipulate his way into staying with me. I won't fall for it.